Joe Biden is pro-abortion, fanatically so. They want to now use tax dollars that's being pushed by the radicals in Congress. They're controlling Congress now. They want to use your tax dollars that have been prohibited from being used for decades to fund abortions. I'll start off by talking about right now the big controversy over Texas's abortion law. It's pro-life law that takes steps to protect the lives of unborn human beings after a heartbeat is detected. Essentially, what the law requires is that a woman considering an abortion go in, obviously, to the doctor, and the doctor checks to see if there's a heartbeat. Now, a heartbeat can be heard as soon as 6 weeks, but it's anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the human being. And if there's a heartbeat, the doctor isn't allowed to commit an abortion. The life has to be protected. And anyone who gets involved in committing an abortion on a human being that has a heartbeat is subject to civil liability that can be pursued by individual citizens in Texas. So it's not the government that prosecutes anyone. In fact, there's no prosecution. It's always civil. There's no criminal case or sanction to a woman for committing an abortion or having an abortion or anyone else. It's only civil liability. I think that ranges around $10,000. So the left is apoplectic because the law has gone into effect, and they don't like the idea of women being unable to kill human beings that have a heartbeat in the womb. The left, by the way, the left wants the opinion, is of the opinion, and they want the law to remain that a woman can get an abortion on demand from the moment of conception through childbirth. And given the opposition to protecting babies born alive, even after childbirth, in some cases, partial birth abortion and things like that. But certainly, they think unborn babies are the equivalent. I don't even know what they want. I don't want to term what they consider unborn babies to be. But the science is they're human beings. We're all supposed to believe in science, except when it comes to human life, right? And the rule of law, to the shame of the United States, and frankly, the Supreme Court in large measure, hasn't extended far enough to protect the entire family of human beings, specifically unborn human beings that we all recognize or should recognize if we're following biological science are deserving of the protections. And technically, what went on here is the Supreme Court refused to intervene. And by a 5-4 decision, they said, well, look, these plaintiffs in Texas who are trying to challenge the law don't have anyone to sue. And so since there's no one to sue yet, since the law hasn't been enforced, the state isn't enforcing the law. It's only private parties that can enforce the law. We're not going to intervene. And so that was a 5-4 decision. Chief Justice Roberts, of course, is a political justice, so he opposed it. But the 5 justices allowed the law to go into effect. Now, the law will be challenged because I would hope there will be citizens in Texas. And I'm not quite sure, I haven't looked up whether it's only limited to citizens in Texas that can enforce the law or sue in civil court those involved in committing abortion. There'll be a challenge, and there'll be a constitutional challenge, and it will once again put before the courts the idea that, yes, human life is worth protecting. Certainly, unborn human beings that have a heartbeat should be protected. And the media's coverage of this has been obviously another abomination. They're pro-abortion. Joe Biden is pro-abortion, fanatically so. They want to now use tax dollars that's being pushed by the radicals in Congress. They're controlling Congress now. They want to use your tax dollars that have been prohibited from being used for decades to fund abortions. So not only do you not get to oppose abortion, but we're going to take your money and fund it. And in fact, to show their true colors, because they don't believe, and we've talked about this before, everything the left says they believe as a principle, in terms of PR, they never believe as a principle. They say they are against racism while engaging in racism. They say they're in favor of against sexism while engaging in sexism. Like Jennifer Psaki, who is the White House spokesman, a male reporter dared to ask her a question about abortion, and she attacked him for being male. Well, you're a male. You can't get pregnant. You can't have an abortion. Imagine if it was reversed. It just shows you that they support sexism when they see fit. And many have pointed out that the left has been putting out there this notion that men can get pregnant. So I guess men have a view on abortion, or they're allowed to have a view on abortion. I mean, I guess I just belabor the point, because obviously when we're talking about protecting human life, everyone has an interest. And I'm interested to know what public policy issues we're not allowed to talk about on the basis of our sex. I'd like the left to explain that and delineate it further. But of course, that's not about, this isn't what this is about. This is about promoting this abortion right, unbridled abortion right. And we'll see what the Supreme Court does. They're already going to consider a kind of a challenge to Roe versus Wade and its progeny in the case of a Mississippi law. And I don't know if the Texas law will be added to the mix, but focus on what needs to be focused on. The left believes that unborn human beings that have a heartbeat should be killed for whatever reason necessary. I guess even I think the exception is a medical emergency or life or death of the mother. Life of the mother exception. But a child with a beating heart can be killed through abortion for any reason. That's what the left's position is on this. Now, one thing that we've been highlighting is the seedy underbelly, as if you needed to be any seedier than being engaged in snuffing out preborn human life, is the abortion industry's commoditization of unborn fetal remains obtained through abortion. So they take the organs, they take the bodies, and they sell them to scientists who, in an act of barbarism, are using them to develop humanized mice and such. And Judicial Watch has exposed that. The FDA was involved in funding that. Fauci's agency was involved in funding that. We have the lists. I mean, we literally have the credit card receipts. And I want to share with you, this is going to be unusual. I'm going to quote me. I'm going to play another weekly update where I discussed what we had found. It's the screen. Here I am in a prior update talking about these documents that we had covered from the FDIA showing receipts of your tax dollars being used to pay for these parts. Let me see if I can hit play here.
Thymus, second trimester. Liver, second trimester. The fee for each is blacked out, $750 paid via Visa. Document after document showing that livers and organs of unborn human beings in the second trimester are being sold to this lab. Now, they would say not at a profit, I would presume. That deserves further investigation, and frankly, it ought to be under criminal investigation. But really disturbing material. I tell you, we've got all the documents here. You can go through and see document after document. It is a catalog of horrors that I've never seen before here at Judicial Watch.
And you can see from that prior discussion just how outrageous it is in terms of just how outrageous the abortion industry is in terms of, again, extracting organs. As I called it, we had new documents come out in a lawsuit we had pursued with the Center for Medical Progress, where the University of Pittsburgh was running, as I called it, a fetal organ chop shop funded with tax dollars mainly out of the NIH and largely out of the agency that Dr. Fauci runs. So Fauci is funding this barbarism. So when you hear the abortion debate and you hear the fulminations against Texas daring to protect unborn human beings, I want you to recall what Judicial Watch found in terms of what happens to the bodies and organs of too many unborn human beings. So when you hear the fulminations of the left-wing media and their allied politicians about Texas's law trying to protect unborn human beings, keep in the back of your mind or in the front of your mind and share this information with others. The fact that the abortion industry turns the organs and bodies of aborted babies into a commodity to be used for scientific research, for humanized mice. The barbarism is something that no society should be engaged in, but this is what the abortion culture has led to. So I'm not quite sure what the Supreme Court's going to do, but you can be sure that you won't get an honest analysis of it from the media, or the legal issues around it. So just so you know, private citizens in Texas can proceed with civil claims against those engaged in abortion and the killing of unborn human beings with a heartbeat. And the left is angry about that. Do you need to know anything else? Probably not. And of course, the idea, they get so angry about the idea that citizens would be able to engage in this type of litigation, when in fact the left does that all the time. There are many laws and many regulations, court rules that allow citizens to engage in private litigation. It happens all the time. The left does it all the time in housing, racial discrimination matters, environmental matters. And the other big hypocrisy, of course, as I said, the left doesn't believe everything they pretend to believe. When they say that they're concerned about the bodily integrity of women and the right to choose what to do with your body, obviously that doesn't apply in anything related to public health, related to COVID. Vaccine mandates, how does that comport with the idea that you have a right to control your own body? And what's the response to that is, well, you're talking about other people here. Exactly. And that's the heart and crux of the abortion debate. So I don't know where you fall on abortion. You know where I fall on abortion. But I just want to highlight what the issue here is, and I don't want you to get distracted about what the issue they pretend to be, which is that right now you can get an abortion for virtually any reason throughout the entire 9 months of pregnancy. And Texas has tried to curtail that to make it clear that you can't get an abortion for an unborn human being with a beating heart. So that's the law in Texas. I think is a great development for the rule of law, for our nation's morality and ethics. And I hope there's more to come in terms of expanding the rule of law to protect the little ones in the human family.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.